Right, that's it recording, man, so you can start anytime you're ready. Like.
Okay. Hello, folks. Well, here we are. We're a looking glass tonight. White is black and black is white, because this is a new episode of This Boy's Life, but it's actually your normal host who is the subject tonight. So, on the other end of the line should be my friend and comrade, Mr. David Harper. Are you there, sir?
All right, man.
Well, so, turning the tables tonight. And we'll be turning a few turntables as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about straight away, Harper. You can just tell people about your life growing up and where you were born and all that kind of stuff.
So I was born in Stirling, 1974, which makes me 44. Just turned 44. Grew up in Tillicootery. So straight away, anybody who's Scottish television will recognise Stirling and Tillicootery.
Near Stirling?
Certain warehouse,
okay.
Aye. Stirling near Stirling, Tillicootery, and Stirling, latterly Stirling Mills, the shopping village. So
and that was Doogie Donnelly, right?
Doogie Donnelly, aye. Put Tillicootery on the map. And actually, I mean, that warehouse was massive for Tillicootery, because it did bring a lot of people and a lot of money into the town, because actually, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about football and that, but Celtic and Rangers at one time, I don't know if they still do, but they had accounts there, and any time they signed new players, they would send them there to just buy their furniture, to kit out their houses or whatever, and we used to go down there when we were young, and just to see if there was any players cutting about on a Sunday. We used to go down to there was a butterfly restaurant, and we used to see Celtic Rangers players down there all the time, But aye, so that's what put Tillicootery on the map. Then
and
me, of course.
And that, just so for younger people, that's like a furniture store long before your IKEAs and all that.
Oh yeah, but it was a high end furniture store. It was very. Put it this way, I've never bought any furniture at it. It wasn't for the locals to be shopping, really.
No.
Very few of us anyway. It was a high end place, and all the sort of top furniture designs, if you like, and I know, but really, I mean, it did really bring a lot to the town, and obviously they expanded then into the shopping village that's there now.
And what about in terms of your kind of growing up schooling and all that kind of thing? Did you like school?
I can't really, primary school, I can't really remember, if I liked it or not. I don't think I hated it, but I don't think I loved it either, do you know what I mean? Life all about them was just getting home to play football. Do you know what I mean? It was just every single day, coming home from school. I mean, I just stayed in a council's house, in a council street, the same as just about everybody in the days, 70s and 80s, And that's all we done, was play football. All my pals stayed round about close by. Straight home from school, dumped the bags, and you played football till you were called in for your dinner. Went back out after your tea, and then you played till it got dark, and then you were called in, But I was lucky that I lived next to the academy, so it had big playing fields right at the end of my street. So we had rugby pitches and football pitches and hockey pitches back then, and they even had track burnt into the grass. They used to a kind of creosote thing. They used to burn the running tracks around the pitch. So it was a huge green area we had to play in. And then latterly they installed the first, I think it was Scotland's first artificial ski slope at the school.
Right,
which is still there. And actually, when we went into the academy, then later on years, that everybody at our school could ski because it became part of your PE. So everybody done the first couple of I don't know whatever they called it back then, but the classes got you through a couple of grades. You skiing, But as well, I suppose, as that I lived right at the foot of the local hills. If anybody knows, Tillicootery and the rest of the hill foots, at 5 minutes walk out my street and up, I was at the foot of the hills, and then you were up, it seemed like mountains when we were kids, but decent sized hills, and you were up in the woods and playing soldiers and camping, and then later you was up there drinking and whatever else, you were getting up to just to get out of the way. But it was, when I go back now, and I see it, I was back there last week, and you really didn't appreciate the beauty the area I grew up in, like, and I spent a lot of time up the hills, and when I had dogs and that when I was older, and I used to walk up regular and that, like, but you forget how beautiful an area it is until you move away, and I kind of miss it for that. I didn't miss it for much else, like, to be honest, because it's a bit of a kip these days. But the actual scenery and all that, and reminiscing back to when we were kids was great, like,
I mean, you talked about growing up in a council house and a council estate.
Aye.
At what point in your childhood would you begin to be aware of the fact that that was quite a kind of poor upbringing? That even though most of us were like that, you still didn't have much.
Probably I didn't probably when I got into secondary school, and maybe you started getting other friends. Like when you were in primary school, all your mates were just people that just lived right by you, so everybody was the same. But then when you went into secondary school, you started mingling more, I think, with people from other areas where you lived.
Aye.
And you'd come across people. Then you'd go to some people's houses who, oh wait a minute, they stayed in the Wimpy estate, like, no. And to us back then, going to one of these houses was like, oh my god, like they've got fucking Soda Stream and do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Oh, you're right. That was a big thing.
Aye, like we got our juice off the Alpine lorry.
Aye.
If we were lucky. But to go to somebody's house that had a Soda Stream and stuff like that was just unbelievable. And like they went to Disneyland on holiday, and you were like, Disneyland, like, the furthest place I'd ever been was Blackpool. Like most people, like, Blackpool. You went on your holidays to Blackpool, to Butlins and Ayr, and Morecambe, to Pontins and all that kind of thing. So I was never on a foreign holiday. Well, tell a lie, I went to Canada when I was really young, because my mum and dad's best friends emigrated, and they saved for ages and ages and ages to go and visit them. We went for a month, but I was so young I can barely remember it. I think I was only like 7-year-old or something, like 6 or 7.
Aye.
The first time.
I was very much the same. I think I went anywhere until I was about 17.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't involve staying in somebody's house. Whether it was relatives
or gone there on the bus, certainly.
Aye, I mean that was it. Or caravan sites and things.
Because even when we went to Blackpool, we didn't get a train down or anything like that. We went on the Mackie's bus, which was like a local bus service, and they used to put buses on down to Blackpool, and that's what you done. Or the woolen mill where most people worked, because that was the industry in our area. It was all woolen mills. They would put on like subsidised buses for the workers in the fair. Because obviously back then everywhere shut for the 2 weeks. Alloa was the first 2 weeks in August. I think that was the fortnight after Glasgow. I can't remember, but that was it. I never really thought. I never felt poor because you didn't want. What did you need? What did you want? All you wanted was a football. We didn't even bother about having strips really when I was a kid. You got them at Christmas, and that was great, and it made it exciting when you got stuff. The kids didn't like. I know people say it all the time, but they didn't appreciate it, and I don't think they didn't get the same excitement for it anymore because they just get it. We got it at Christmas, and it was like, oh my, check this! It was like the Holy Grail opening up and seeing the green and white hoops, or even a Scotland jersey or a Brazil jersey when I was younger. Just to get any football jersey, to be honest, was amazing. But I certainly never got anything throughout the year, and very rarely did I even get anything much for my birthday. Do you know what I mean?
But I think that's exactly the definitions of what. I mean, I remember. We used to go to one of my mates' houses, and his old man had the video cases that looked like encyclopedias.
Aye.
And everybody was like, fucking hell, man, he must be loaded, like,
Aye.
And because that was a big status symbol, as you say, like, and if you're not surrounded by other people who have got tons of gear and all that you just didn't realise how little you've actually got yourself, like,
Aye, but the thing was, Paul, I mean, I didn't want to labour this too much, but like nobody, we weren't rich, but we were poor. We weren't poor in the sense that everybody got by. Like, you were never starving, and you never had a like. I wasn't running about with the hole in my arse and my fucking trousers, like, no. But we were always clothed. We were always fed. We got our wee holidays every now and again to Ayr and all that, and just nobody. We didn't have any debt. Like, nobody had credit cards. Everybody just paid the council. They paid for their TV on tick or whatever, and nobody was. Well, there were people that were skint, obviously, but where I lived, just normal working class life. Everybody just had what they had, and they were quite happy to go and get their few drinks at the weekend or that straight after work for a few pints. My dad, like most days, but we were never skint, but we were never rich. We were just sort of, and we weren't middle class either. We were just sort of working class, but never really knew any better.
Aye, I suppose. I mean, it's one of the things where you didn't actually appreciate till later how people have probably struggled to make that, you know, your life like that you didn't notice as much, you know. Because I've seen it. I remember seeing a young boy in primary school coming to school one day in football boots with the studs on.
Right,
so he had to wear on his feet, like, you know. But it's one of the things. But we'll not go down the Hovis fucking bakery route one night. Let's introduce your first album song, and I know it's something that this band and, you know, the impact they've had on your life, and they're had a huge influence on your life, but you've also had to defend them at times in your life. So can you tell us what it is and something about it, please?
Well, so I'll not be any surprise, and I thought I'd get it out the road first. And the reason bit as well, though, is they were the first band that totally captured my imagination musically. And I listened to a lot of music because my mum listened to a lot of music always in the house on a Sunday, and that she'd have her records and that on, doing the housework and stuff like that. And I was a lot of country music and that she listened to, and the Beatles and stuff like that. But I think probably when this band appeared on the scene, now this was their third album, so it's Erasure, obviously, right, and the album's The Innocence. So this was their third album, the first album being The Wonderland, then The Circus, and then came The Innocence. But it was a time when this band was at the absolute peak of their powers, like, no. Obviously, most people know the song "A Little Respect." That was the big, huge hit that came from that album, and there was never they get sort of more kind of. I mean, obviously, the lead singer Andy Bell's homosexual. He's HIV positive. Not that really has any bearing on things, but it wasn't something that any of us cared about at that time. I mean, when I was, say, 14, 15, this was the biggest band in Britain, bar none. And anybody who wants to go and Google it, if they think I'm kidding on, go and have a look. This was the biggest band in Britain at the time. Pop music was where it was at. And that electronic sound, Vince Clarke, is just something that I've loved all my life. They seem to be now, it's like, because they were for the 80s and 90s, people were like, oh my god, you're into a band for the 80s or the 90s, and the guy's gay and all this, the rest of it, and that. Like, there's not even anything that we ever thought about, like, no. Even like, say, Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Jimmy Somerville and that, it didn't matter, fuck to us that they were gay. No. They were just putting out good pop music, like, no. And that's what we were into, as much as a host of other stuff, but I can just remember when this album came out, I absolutely, we'd be down the town hanging about, and we'd Ghetto Blaster, and this was just played over and over and over to death. And I could have picked any song for the album, well, barring maybe a couple, like, there's a couple of fillers in there, I suppose. But I suppose one of my favourite songs is Phantom Bride. I just love the tune as soon as it comes on. I mean, I know the words to every song on the album. Like, I could stand in for Andy Bell, apart from the high heels and that, like, you know. But so my first song is Phantom Bride for the album The Innocence by Erasure.
Okay, now let's get on to something that I'm sure people were desperate to hear. It's a wee bit Celtic chat. And first of all, I mean, obviously, let's get down to the bare essentials first of all. How did you become a fan of Celtic?
I think probably it's like when we were younger. Maybe it's less and less now because of the way football is with the Premiership and Barcelona and the coverage, the media and that they get, like, no. But I'd say probably for our generation, 95% of fans, you followed in your dad's footsteps, and I was no different, like, no. Obviously, I know you were no different, and just everybody I knew who was into football was into it because their dad was a football fan, like, no. So I mean, and it's a good job because when I say, like, where I lived, and all my pals lived round about, the vast majority of them when I was young were Rangers fans. So I mean, if I'd been left to that, probably I could have grew up on the dark side, I suppose. Because I went to obviously a non-denominational school as well, if that's the right word for it. But it wasn't until later in life, in my teenage years, I started meeting more the kind of Celtic fans that went to the Catholic school. Because you just didn't really see each other when you were in primary school, sort of thing, like, you know. But that's when I started meeting a lot more Celtic fans. But my dad was a huge Celtic fan when he was younger. He used to help run the Tullibuddy bus, and he went week in, week out, and he actually stopped going after the Ibrox disaster.
Right.
He was there, and it just affected him, and other things happened. I came along, and he had to take a job working shifts, working weekends, and all that, like, you know, so just to kind of provide for his family. So he just fell away from it. And it was weird. I was supposed to be taking him to his first game since then, last Wednesday night. And obviously it was cancelled for the snow, and it was a shame because I could see when I was there, and when I met him on Friday, he'd been absolutely... But I knew anyway because he'd been sending me messages via his partner, asking hundreds of questions and all that, like, you know. I could just tell he was phoning his two pals that were coming with us and that. So they were obviously all buzzing, like, no. So I was gutted. But we'll get to the rearranged game. I think it's the 4th of April, midweek. I'm going away to America for work, but I'm going to be back the Monday and I'll fly over on the Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to taking him to that. Like, you know, it's obviously going to be a totally different experience from now for the last time I was at a game.
Well, you're talking about the kind of experiences. I mean, can you remember your first game you went to?
I suppose you could say I was a late bloomer because I never went to my first game till the centenary season, which was 1987-88, obviously. I was pestering them for years. I wanted to go, but as I say, my dad worked weekends and that, like, no, so there was no to go with, like. So eventually, one of my dad's mates in the pub says he would take me to a game. So I was 13 by this time, 1987. And my mum, like, was right there against me going to the football and that because she just thought it was like hooligans and trouble. And my gran had a big input in her life, and they were totally against it, like, no. So whatever my gran says kind of used to go, like, no. But by the time I got to 13, I was a wee bit older, so they relented and they let me go on the supporters bus with one of the guys for the pub, a guy called Andy McBride. Still goes on the same Roy and Bone bus to this day. But it was Falkirk, it was Brockville, it was Celtic at Brockville. I can't remember the month, but whatever, it was near the start of the season. So Falkirk v Celtic at Brockville, 1987. Celtic won 1-0, Tommy Burns goal, and I never looked back for then. I got Young Supporter of the Year, joint Young Supporter of the Year, I should say, with my mate Barry Rennick, who you know, like, and we've been best mates ever since. And that's kind of how we met, was that season, going to the football. And it's actually, when I think of it, I've never really thought of that before. That's when we met on the bus. We've been best mates ever since, so we're 13, like, no? Because he's for a different turn and all that. We never went to the same school, we never knew each other till the bus. And that was me. That was it. I mean, once I'd had one taste, that was it. I was at Parkhead the next week, and I'm always annoyed. I suppose I could look it up. I don't know who. I can't remember my first game at Celtic Park, but it was like the following home game, and I was practically every game that season at Pittodrie, everything. I never went to Ibrox. Now I wasn't at the games at Ibrox, but I was at the home games against Rangers. And the guy I'm talking about, Andy McBride, he used to look after me for tickets for the Rangers games and stuff like that. And Pittodrie, obviously, it was always hard to get a ticket for Pittodrie back in the days. So I went everywhere. Because I just sort of that guy, thank God, just told my mum and dad he was looking after me. But after that first game, he wasn't giving a fuck. Like, he just let us go and do what we wanted to do, just as long as we were on the bus. And like, you know, so that was my first game. Falkirk and Celtic won 1987.
I mean, I wonder, like, because you've come in on the centenary year, and everybody who was around that era has looked up, knows how magical centenary year was. I mean, did you kind of think that it must be like this every year? I'm
not sure, like, because my memory's terrible. But I mean, it's not as if that's just when I first started supporting Celtic. Like I was obsessed. Do you know what I mean? My earliest memory was the cup final when McCoy scored the hat trick. That'd been 82.
84.
That's the first memory I can really remember watching it in the house. Now, I probably would have watched ones before because my dad used to get his pals up and they'd all sit and watch it and I'd go and get their cans for them and all that, and you know the usual that we kids done. So I would have been there, but I can clearly remember the McCoist one, the hat trick. And so that would be my earliest memory. So obviously I was a massive Celtic fan. Like I just devoured everything I could get about them and see about them and hear about them. But once I started going, and I suppose did I think it'd be like that at the time? I don't know, man, because I think it was kind of drummed into me even then that how special a season that was. Like, no, and it wasn't. It was only then Rangers had started spending loads of money in it. It didn't take long. Like I was a teenager, so it wasn't like a wee kid. Do you know what I mean? So I probably thought, I didn't know it was going to get as bad as it was going to get. Right enough.
I don't think anybody did.
But it was probably more fleeting than I expected. But I tell you what, a season, and it's probably, I'm so lucky that I was part of that season.
Now this is funny because you kind of touched on this before, but the next question is, what was your last game? Which of course could have been Dundee or Morton, and wasn't it? So what was the last game you attended?
It's weird because most people will end up doing this show where the last game will probably be the last Celtic game, like, no. But do you know, me and Joe got a season ticket back this season, and we shared a season ticket. So I go over quite a few games this season, the first half of the season. I've not been any since the turn of the year, but the last game I was at was Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0. Was that 23rd of December? Was it?
Yeah.
Something like 23rd Christmas Eve. 23rd, aye. That's right, aye, because then I flew to Ireland, I flew to Belfast, and then I flew out to Spain for Christmas Eve. But that was it, aye. Lustig, Hayes and Cham. Was that the game Hayes got injured? I can't remember. After scoring, was it? Was that the game he got injured in? I can't remember, but that was my last game. Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0. So nothing too exciting, as in like it was a years ago or anything like that. It was just in December there.
I think it was Dundee the game after that Hayes got injured.
Was it? I couldn't. In fact, I think he got a man of the match maybe against Aberdeen that game, did he?
He did, I think he scored,
I definitely scored, Because I wrote it down earlier, Lustig and Cham got the look.
I think the last good game
Lustig had, that's right. That's right.
But now here's an interesting one. So, same age as me, so it could be roughly same time. If you could time travel to any Celtic game and any non-Celtic game, which would they be?
Right, so the time travel in question, I mean, obviously I've done this before with other people and that, like, no? And so a Celtic game I was at before that I would love to go back to, right? And I thought about this long and hard, and it came down to two games, right? Either the first thought in my mind was Celtic 2, Hearts 2 for the centenary year with the McStay last minute equaliser, because it's still my favourite ever Celtic goal. I can remember being in the Celtic end, the utter pandemonium when that goal went in. I mean, if you go onto YouTube and just see the emotion of Paul McStay's face when he gets that goal, it's incredible. And that was at the time when Hearts brought massive support to Celtic Park, like, no, the place was packed. But if I'm being honest, it has to be the Centenary Cup final, because I mean it just had everything. It had everything for a young teenager to be involved in. I couldn't get in the Celtic end. I had a ticket for the Dundee United end. I've told this story a few times. Like I won't labour it, but me, my mate Boogie, who have basically lost to hard drugs these days, and another mate Eden, who sadly passed away a number of years ago. But I was with them. We're in the Dundee United end, and we were in that sort of enclave of Celtic fans at the fence.
Yeah.
But when we went to go up, Eden wanted to go to the toilet or something, we just said, we'll always go together, we'll stick together wherever any of us wants to go and do, like go to the toilet or whatever, like, we'll go to the pie shop or whatever. So the three of us had went up, and we were standing right up at the back when the Celtic equalised. So Eden, of course, drops to his knees and blesses himself, much to disgust all the Dundee United fans that were completely around us at that point, So we got chased out the stadium. We got chased like down the big steps, and we never got chased any further than that. Obviously, they went back in, but we just kept running, and we sprinted round to the Celtic end, and the gates were open. Like, they used to open the gates when anybody could really get in, I suppose. I can remember there not being a single soul in the street. So anybody who was hanging about had already got in, obviously, And I remember we ran round the Celtic end, we ran right up the steps, we got in, and we were right down. We managed to make our way right down to the very front, and we were at the sort of the corner flag, so opposite, the main stand side, the terracing side, and we were right at the corner flag when Celtic got the winner. And it was just incredible. Hampden in the sun, like they days, it was just there was no roof on the Celtic end. Everybody, the green and white, it just looked brighter, and just it was probably just like a melancholic memory, but everything just seemed better then. I don't know. But that would be a game if I could ever go back and relive a day in my sort of Celtic history. It'd be that game. And I suppose that for a game that I never got to attend, but I think that the rule was you couldn't pick the European Cup final. Seville, believe it or not, I never got to Seville. I'd started a new job 3 or 4 weeks before the final, and they just wouldn't give me it off. And as much as I thought about packing the job in, it was a good job, and I couldn't just walk away from my job. I just couldn't do it, So I ended up, I watched it with, I know that actually that one guy I was talking about, Boogie, and basically a house full of women, and that's where we watched it. It was like all the wives and girlfriends, all the mates that were away, and we just sat and watched it with them. But I was gutted I never made Seville, because obviously all the stuff that was you seen on the news and the papers every day leading up to it, and I was seeing mates. There were mates of mine getting interviewed and fucking, I don't know, Benidorm and all the fucking rest of it, they went near Seville at times. So I completely missed that, and it's something that still niggles me. I think the last game I got to in the run was Celta Vigo. I was at Celta Vigo away when we got past them for the first time to get past Christmas and however many fucking years. But so that's one that always niggles me.
I mean, it's funny you talked about the Dundee United game. I mean, it was absolutely scorching hot that day, and the Celtic end was the covered, and it used to be always this thing about how come the Huns end's covered and the Celtic end's no. And I remember the following year, if you remember, against the Huns, scorching hot again that day, and stopped them winning the treble, Joe Miller and all that. And I remember a boy, because we were quite near the fence where the Huns were shouting, you never won a fucking treble, you never got a fucking suntan either. Which I thought was quite good, But so what about your non-Celtic game that you'd love to go back to?
This is something weird. So, I mean, I'm not really a big football. I didn't have teams and teams. I didn't have English teams really. I mean, I have a soft spot for Sheffield United, but that's only came in recent enough years. I didn't really follow English teams when I was younger. I mean, I used to watch the Premiership when it first came on Sky and that, and I had a mate who was a big Man United fan, and I always kind of wanted them to win it for him, if you know what I mean, but I didn't really care. So it's weird that I was never really big into international football, but I've picked Scotland getting a hammering for Brazil in the '82 World Cup. Just to, I think, it was one of those, I suppose it's one of those iconic games in Scottish football history, even although we got beat. Taking the lead against that Brazil team, the David Nery Topock, as they said. But that Brazil team, I was obsessed with when I was a wee boy. It was like that when people spoke about them, it was like they were just talking about gods, like Socrates, Zico, Eder, Falcao, Junior, Serginho, Oscar. I mean, they're legends. Every one of them are legends of world football, and they were all on the one team. Do you know what I mean? I had that. I had the yellow strip and the wee blue shorts and the white socks. I had that kit. I had the full kit. It was one of the few full kits I ever had. Like, I used to always get Celtic. I used to get a couple of full Celtic kits, but that was like the only other full kit I ever had. And I was I was obsessed with that team. They were probably then revered how probably the recent Barcelona sides have been revered for total football and all that, and it was just... And you never got to see football on the television that much.
That's right.
And when the World Cup came on, 1982, remember, I'm only 8 years old, like, and this, honestly, the people described these guys like they would go out and beat everybody 10-0. And I can remember Scotland opening the scoring, but it was just... I'd have loved to have went to that just back when probably football was proper, I suppose. The way I maybe look at it from an international point of view.
Yeah, I can relate to that in the sense of, you know, watching the game live, and there was, you know, the old continental horns going and all that kind of thing, and it's blisteringly hot, and as you say, you know, even the Scotland strip was pretty good then, you know, with the V-neck and all that. And as you say, but when Neri scored, it was a kind of 5 minutes. It was a bit like when Dembele scored in Paris, like, you know, it's like 5 minutes to celebrate, and you're like, oh fuck. And that's what Brazil done to Scotland, like, you know. But they were easily, in my opinion, the best team never to win a World Cup, like, you know.
Typical. When I heard a wee look at the acts like that, there was not one Celtic player in that Scotland team, which was probably typical of the time. Whether they deserved it or not, do you know what I mean?
It was. I think at that point it was kind of packed with Anglos, wasn't it? Really. But that's a good pick. It was a story. I mean, it's the very fact that it's in 1982 that's still fresh to our minds. I think that shows you the impact it had.
I still have a pennant for the 82 World Cup. One of my dad's pals, I was actually taken to the football on Wednesday night, a guy called Peter Roy. He went over and he brought me back a pennant, and it's got the logo, which was like an orange, was it? It was like an orange or something like that. I can't remember, but I have it somewhere anyway. For the 82 World Cup pennant. There you go.
Good memories. So let's get on to your second album and song then. You want to tell us a wee bit about that and what it means to you?
So like the first three albums I've went with bands that I tried to think about, for all five actually, I tried to think about bands that no matter what I would always go and see them if I could. I mean, I go to a lot of gigs, as you know. I'm into a vast range of music, like, you know. I have no music snobbery whatsoever. It's something that really fucking bugs me, actually.
Well, music especially snobbery. When volunteer Joe McKenna continues to try and teach you about music.
Aye, a clown. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I hate when anybody turns around and says, that's shite. Like, talk about it. No, it's maybe shite to you, but obviously for tens of thousands of other people, they enjoy it. It's like me saying to you, what are you eating a fish supper for? I didn't like fish. I didn't like fish. How can you like fish if I didn't like it? It's such a stupid thing, because like any kind of art form, it's a personal thing. It's so emotive, like, no. So I try to. I'm fucking floundering here. I pick bands that, because there's so many bands I could have picked. I picked bands that I would write. I'd definitely go and see these whenever I can, whenever they come around. The tickets are there. I'll go and see them. And at the same time, I wanted to pick bands, really, the first three anyway are bands that have just been staples for as long as I've been listening to music. And the second band, obviously, you'll be happy to hear is the Happy Mondays. They just round about that time, probably, so just after Erasure, Erasure was the Innocence album, and I was probably maybe a wee bit innocent myself at that time. But maybe just fast forward even a year, and we all lost our innocence at the time the Happy Mondays came about, and started introducing us to different things, and I suppose like pretend different drugs, and the music was just the whole scene, and it was the last. We were so lucky we had the last scene that's ever happened in the UK.
Correct,
like,
absolutely.
Young people have got nothing. They're still listening. The young people now are into the same fashion we were into, and try to listen to the same music and music styles that we listened to. So it's weird, and the Happy Mondays just epitomises that. They were a dance band, but they were a guitar band at the same time. They had a fucking frontman that was an absolute poetic genius, but at the same time he was a fucking lunatic. And you loved all that, and then you had Bez, Rowetta, and it just amalgamated in this amazing fucking thing, like, no? Now, whenever you seen them live back then, it probably wasn't as a sort of the not perfect fucking show that you see now. Like, it was Sean stumbling about stumbling about the stage with a sheet of A4 paper, trying to fucking read the lyrics, like, But the band were just, I mean, Sean Ryder's just the big hero of mine, and I just, everything he does, I consume. Still to this day, every interview he does, anything, I've got to read everything, I've got to listen to everything, and the fact that he's probably writing even maybe better music now with Black Grape and that he ever done, because he's got a clarity in his life that he's obviously away from the heroin and all that kind of thing. But, so, again, I could have picked different albums. I mean, Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches, if I wanted to be honest, for that time was the fucking album, like. Oh, yeah. But I've got a particular song and a particular 12-inch that is my favourite 12-inch that I own. I hunted high and dry to get this a few years ago, high and wide I should say. And it's, so it's for the album Bummed, but I'm cheating a wee bit because if we're putting this into a time capsule, I'm putting in the album Bummed, the Collector's Edition, which was released in 2007, which had 20 tracks on it. One of my favourite Happy Monday songs is Rope for Luck, and there's all the different mixes of Rope for Luck on the album, and it's not, I mean, I suppose it's coincidence because I'm a huge Vince Clarke fan, who's obviously the brains behind Erasure, and before that, early on, Depeche Mode and Yazoo. I've picked the Rope for Luck Vince Clarke 12-inch remix, and that's going to be my second song.
And this song is the song that no concert should end before it's played.
Correct.
Okay, so we've dipped our toe in the waters of the music a wee bit, so tell me about your first gig you went to.
My first gig was, believe it or not, so it was Erasure. It was Erasure at the SECC in Glasgow. It had been 1989, so I'd been 15. I remember I went with my mate for school, Billy Glencross, and his sister took us up in the car. Linda, she was a bit older, and we were right near the front. I can just, like, Erasure at that time. It was actually the Wild tour, and Erasure at that time, as I say, they were massive band. So they used to put on massive dramatic stage shows because they had huge amount of money behind them. And so the stage show was this, like, sort of futuristic jungle with, like, big massive, like a praying mantis plants and all those big, like the swallow insects and that, but these big huge things with their jaws open and all that. And just, like, the whole stage was alive, as well as the music being on, like, you know. So that was my first gig, was Erasure at the SECC, and I've probably seen them. I've lost count. I mean, I've seen them in probably half a dozen countries, not far less, just half a dozen gigs. Like, I've seen them in America and England, Ireland, Scotland. Just where else did I see them? I can't even fucking remember, to be honest. But I've seen every tour. I've seen Erasure on every tour since every album released. I've had a tour, so I've probably seen them every year or two since then. So however many fucking gigs that is.
And I've got a funny feeling this might be the same answer here. What was the last gig you went to?
So it was Erasure. And that's such a fucking coincidence because I was at so many gigs last year, and I was actually thinking, I couldn't remember, like, what was the last gig I was at? I'm going, where was I in November? Where was I in December? And then it just dawned on me when I come back from America there. I went to Edinburgh and I seen Erasure in Usher Hall, and I mean, it was fantastic. I was with my mate Steve McAnally and our wives, and I stayed over in Edinburgh. I seen you actually the next day. I was in a fucking heap. But great gig. I'm getting a bit older now. I was sitting on the balcony. I was up in the seats. So, that's, as I say, I've so many gigs in the last couple of years, and it just so happens that Erasure at Edinburgh Usher Hall was my last one.
So let me ask you then. You know, if that was your first gig and then your last gig. What's the main difference between the band then and now?
Well, they still. I mean, obviously they play new songs for every album, right? But you still get the hits, and it's probably 75% of the audience have been that same journey with me. Like they wouldn't have a lot of younger fans, like no. But really, I think when you see them now, it's a much more stripped down stage show. Yeah. Andy Bell's nowhere near as flamboyant. I mean, everybody's seen the costumes that he used to wear. He'd be cutting about wee cod pieces and leotards and all that. And he used to play up to the...
Much like yourself, really, then.
He used to really play up to the sort of gay stereotype icon, like, no really flamboyant over the top. It was just not part of his stage persona. But, I mean, his sounding, obviously his voice is a wee bit deeper and it maybe doesn't hit the high notes the same, but they rearrange the music to suit that. So, it's different because you're a bit older, the venues are a bit smaller, the stage show is a bit plainer, but the music's as good as it's always been.
Cool. So, hopefully they get the same answer here. What was the first album you bought?
No, actually, this is so fucking sad, like, and I'll take a wee drink. I can remember one Christmas, or I think it was for Christmas, or whatever it was anyway, I got a voucher for Woolworths.
Oh.
And I went in and I decided I was going to buy myself a record. And so the first album I ever bought was Hits 1.
Oh, Christ, that takes me back.
Whatever year that was. And I do believe actually those really, really early hits and now are worth a few quid actually.
Well, I've just got to see that. That was the two rivals. It was hits. Now that's what I call music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there would have been a lot of good stuff on them back in the day, like, you know.
I mean, it was just basically whatever the top number ones for the top 40 for the past year.
Do you remember what year that was like?
I don't, man. No, I don't.
I would say probably about 83, 84 when it came out. I might be wrong, but
I can't remember. But I had it, and I still had it up until, I mean, I had quite a big record collection up until about 6 or 7 years ago, and I had it to then. I had a huge erasure, like a pile, fucking the height of my bar here. Just erasure 12 inches, not well, maybe half the height of the bar. And I lent them to a mate, and I'm not going to go into the details, but let's just say they ended up in a recycling bin, and away skipped it, and my whole fucking record collection was gone. And
Jesus
blink
Christ.
an eye, 20 years worth of collecting, and that Hits album was I know it was early, no? So
is that where the boy ended up as well, like?
Well, I think it was an honest mistake, like, no, and he's one of my best mates, so I wasn't happy, like, you know what I mean, but what can you do, man? It's just one of these fucking things, like, no. And I've started buying a lot of it back, and I don't know, it's just not the same, you know. It's not the same buzz like buying stuff online and getting it delivered through fucking eBay or Discogs or whatever. It was part of them is you went and bought a record maybe once a week or once a fortnight, and it was gone, and it was picking out what you were going to buy, because you could only afford to buy fucking one, like. And you could go and buy the one, and you'd go home and just looking at the cover and the sleeve inside and just reading it out. It was a whole fucking event, like.
Oh, aye. And I'm really glad. I mean, actually, I thought about this a few years ago, that once DVDs became almost, you know, like cassette tapes, it's like, where did men like us go if we couldn't go to the pub? You know, because the bookies was written online, and you couldn't go to record shops anymore, you couldn't go and buy a DVD. And thankfully, record stores are kind of having a renaissance.
That's right.
There's some really, really good ones, and I know you're like me. You like just it's a great feeling going and buying an album, and it is. You're right. It's not just about the art of the music; it's about the album cover, the sleeve notes, the whole lot.
Right. It's just even going when you go and find one of these records, or even a record fair is even better because everything's much more affordable second hand, obviously. But you never know. It's fucking like going for buried treasure, going to a record fair. You never know what you're going to come across.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love like buying a lot of 12 inches because I love getting like the extended mixes and the remixes and the limited editions and all that kind of thing. So as I say, I've replaced a lot of my Razor collection, probably only about 20% of it, but I keep going and I keep picking up bits and pieces. But it isn't the same. And you didn't have the same time to even fucking listen to the records, to be honest.
That's true, eh?
But I'm back into it, and actually the record store day is coming up next month, and there's so much in it. I think there's about 11 or 12 albums or 12 inches that's coming up on that I want to buy, which has been it's a great thing. I think it gives you something to look forward to every year, and because not every shop gets everything, so you've got to sit. I pick the shop I'm going to go to. I'm going to be there for the shop opening and make sure, like, if they have the Erasure Touring Circus yellow vinyl reissue, I'm going to make sure I get it. But they might not have everything that I want. Do you know what I mean? So there's a wee bit of kind of buzz about that, like, no, which might sound sad to some people at 44-year-old, but I couldn't. Oh fuck.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about a couple of years back, whenever I was going out with a girl 15 years younger than me, and I was flinging vinyl on and running over to come over that, and I could just see she looking at me like, "What if you're fucking eat?"
Like,
listen, this is how the band wanted you to hear it and all that kind of thing. Aye, right, okay then, old Jim, fucking mental. But to bring it straight back up to date, what was the last song you actually played?
the last song, I can't remember the last song I played on the record player, but the last song I listened to today was, and you probably seen me banging on about it yesterday in the FML Facebook group that I have, but I only came across it yesterday, and Yazoo.
Oh, aye.
Yazoo, like, if anybody doesn't know, Yazoo was, before Erasure, Vince Clarke had a band called Yazoo, which was just him and Alison Moy. And I mean, the two albums that they released were just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Well, she's a phenomenal singer, isn't she?
Fantastic voice, Alison Moy. So most people know the song "Only You," which was actually made famous by the Flying Pickets back in the miners' strike. But they released a version in 2017 that just completely passed me by. Apparently, it was done for the Boots Christmas advert.
Oh, right.
And it's the original vocals by Alison Moy, but it's an orchestral band, like a full fucking orchestra doing the back to the music. So it's an orchestral remix is what it's called, the original vocals. But I just came across it, and I'm mute. Mute's obviously the label that Erasure and likes of Depeche Mode and that are attached to, and they had a playlist up on Spotify, and it was all sort of orchestral versions, songs by all different bands, and I was listening, and I swear I must have listened to it 12 times in a row yesterday. You know when you just keep putting it back to the start, and
aye.
And then I was listening. Just had it on in the kitchen there, on the Sonos before we came on here. So the last song I listened to was Yazoo. And actually, just to mention, I was very, very lucky in that I seen Yazoo live. They got back together for a period of about 6 months, 10 years ago, actually, because I actually seen them in the Bowery in New York.
Wow.
On my honeymoon. I know Big Frankie Fraser was there that night as well. I didn't know Frankie at the time, but we've discussed it since. And anybody who wants to hear that gig, they recorded 2 nights, but the majority of that night is on the Yazoo Reconnected live, and you get it on Spotify and that, but it's absolutely fucking incredible, song after song. But that was the last song I listened to.
So here's one that might evoke some memories. What was the first song at your wedding?
Well, first of all, I didn't pick it, so just there's the first song, the first dance was Will Young, Evergreen. So obviously my wife picked that song. I'm not even 100% how that even goes now. She's a massive Will Young fan, so that was her first one. But I picked the last song. You know, when everybody gets hand around the room, and just about everybody in Scotland has fucking Run Rig. And I was no way was I having Run Rig, so I had Caledonia.
Frankie Miller.
Frankie Miller, of course. Frankie Miller.
Tremendous.
Frankie Miller. So
that should be the national anthem in my opinion.
Aye, definitely. The Frankie Miller version, certainly. Aye. And I was when I was like, and we'll get him on one day. A guy called Jimo for Alloa. It was actually the Frankie Miller CSC in Alloa back in the day. So, but that's a story I'll let him come on and explain sometime. But aye. That was my last. That's Caledonia.
Wow. So we've done it once before. We'll do it again. if you could time travel to a gig, any gig you wanted, what would it be?
So if I was going back to a gig I was at before, surprise, surprise, it had been a Razor gig, and I went down when in 1990, sorry, it was September 1990. Me and two of my pals, that guy Boogie again that I mentioned before, that was at the cup final that way, and another guy, Chris Cairns. We all told our parents we were staying in each other's houses for the weekend. No one of those, and we got the overnight bus down to Milton Keynes, and we went and seen Erasure at Milton Keynes Bowl. And when I say like Erasure were the biggest band in the country, I mean this was before like there wasn't festivals left, right, and centre. So this was one of these. You went down and it was on all day. It was Adamski, Electribe 101. Was were first, then Electribe 101, then Adamski, and then Erasure came on. It was dark at like maybe 8 o'clock at night, and it was live. I mean, it was live on Radio 1. I have the Radio 1 recording and getting introduced by your man Gary, with the black hair, what was his name?
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis. And they were the biggest band in Britain at the time, and huge all over Europe and actually in North America as well. And I can remember being in that massive, massive crowd in Milton Keynes, and we saw the helicopter. It was one of those, with the helicopter coming to the back, and that was the band coming, like, no. So I'd love to have went back to that. Just and the whole thing. Travelling down on the bus with your mates, and we never slept. We never slept, and we'd carry out first thing, and then all day, and then we slept in a bus shelter that night. We never had any money to get fucking digs. We wouldn't even know how to book digs. So I mean, and even when we got off the bus, we had to walk about fucking 3 or 4 miles into Milton Keynes, and of course I remember it because we actually walked about 2 miles in the wrong direction and came across like a farmhouse, and the people put us back on track, like, you know. So I'll never forget. I'd love to go back to that 19.
And what about one that you didn't go to? What?
Same year. May 1990. Spike Island. I mean, Stone Roses. I mean, it goes down as one of these. They always talk about how it was this shambolic gig for the sound and that, but just to be what we were into at that time and everything that surrounded it, to be able to. I mean, if everybody who was at Spike Island. Who says they were at Spike Island was really at Spike Island would have sunk. Aye. So it was one of these, like everybody claims it, and I'd love to have just been able to say I was at Spike Island, because Stone Roses, and people are going to laugh at this, right? I can remember, as I say, I used to go to Stirling and buy records, and I can remember buying the Stone Roses debut album, like, I think maybe the day it came out or something, and I didn't even know what it was. I can remember, I didn't know, I just liked the cover, and I bought it, and I went back, and I can remember I went back for Stirling, I went to one of my mates, we put it on in his house, and we just fucking looked at each other, and what the fuck is this? This is amazing, man. And then next thing, fucking, we didn't even go that night, I think we went and got a carry out and got other mates to come and wait to fucking listen to this record. So I've always claimed claim to fame that I brought the Stone Roses to Tillicooty.
Well, I mean, there's not fucking much untruth in that, really. I mean,
none of my mates were listening to that. I think it was like the day or the week the album came out. I don't know if there was a big hype about them before it was released. I can't even remember, but I certainly never knew about them until I bought the record.
I think that's the thing that people that are younger than us need to understand, that music was they bombarded at you like it is now.
No.
You know, there was stopping.
You only got on top of the pops. You only got on the television after it was a hit, not to make it a hit.
That's right.
So that was. I've always claimed that I brought the Stone Roses to Tillicooty, but not literally. But there you go.
So do you want to segue beautifully into your third album song?
Aye, so that is a perfect segue. So as I said, the first 3 albums were always going to be for bands that were staple in my whole life growing up, and the Stone Roses, and the debut album, the Stone Roses self-titled album. And again, could have picked just about every song on that, like She Bangs the Drums, Waterfall, just great fucking songs, man. But I'm going to go with Bye Bye Badman. Just love the guitar on it, the drum, just everything. It's the perfect fucking song on there. So that's going to be my third song for my third album is Bye Bye Badman, by the Stone Roses off the album with the same name.
Take it away, Ian Brown. Alright, so let's talk about books. Now, how I'm going to do this is you've got a time capsule, and I'm going to ask you for 3 books first of all, then segue into a wee bit after that.
Right.
So you've got 1 fiction book, 1 non-fiction book, and 1 sports book to take. What would they be?
Right, so my first fiction book is my only fiction book. Sorry, my book of fiction is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Now, some people would maybe argue that this was non-fiction. Maybe some of it played out for real, but I think it's a lot of exaggerated truths, and maybe 20% of it happened. Because like no fucking man alive could survive what went on in this book. Now, a lot of people have seen the film where Johnny Depp plays Hunter S. Thompson. The book is written as Hunter S. Thompson's writing about himself, going to he was a Rolling Stone reporter, and the story is in this that he's sent to write a story on the I think it's called the Gumball Rally. It's like a desert fucking race, like, but it's just a complete debauchery, drugs, sex, and just, I mean, you name it. There's a film by Johnny Depp, the same name, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I mean, he plays the part of Hunter S. Thompson absolutely fucking amazing. And the film is brilliant as well, but it doesn't even come close to what goes on in the fucking book. I mean, it's actually quite disturbing, some of the fucking stuff. But it was a book that blew me away, and I've probably read it 4 times. I mean, I used to be a big reader, but I hardly find time for it now. But I like to pick that up every few years and read it again. But so that's my book of fiction is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. And Hunter S. Thompson actually is, like, I've read all his books. Phenomenal writer who led life to the full, shall we say, and eventually he killed himself. He was at the point where he had cancer and stuff like that, and he was at the point, I think he was going to go to a home. He couldn't. He was in a bad way, and I think he just thought, well, I'm going to go out how I want to go out. And
John so much more than a writer as well, eh?
Oh,
he was just a fucking cultural icon.
Right? And the things that he done was just, I mean, the Hells Angels, the book about the Hells Angels, just. If you want to go and read about stuff for the 60s and 70s and that kind of thing, and a lot of politics, but he makes it so you're interested to read it the way he writes it, because he's so fucking, he hates them, like, no.
Yeah, the Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail was just probably the best political book ever, as far as I'm concerned.
So, I mean, anybody go out and read any of those books, but
because even in that book where he's, for people that haven't read it and stuff, where he's basically making up rumours about the candidate he hates, Ed Muskie, saying he's losing the plot and he's taking drugs and all that kind of thing, and Muskie would go nuts about him, and Thompson would just go, see, I've told you, he's fucking mental, look at him. And it's just phenomenal. So brilliant first choice. And
he actually killed himself, and just a wee extra on that, when he killed himself, him and Johnny Depp had been such good friends that Johnny Depp kind of conducted his funeral, and he had his ashes put in a rocket. And Johnny Depp fired the rocket up, and that was it in the big party. But look out for the film, but definitely pick up the book. Pick up the book before you watch the film.
Aye, brilliant stuff. And so, what would your non-fiction book be?
My non-fiction, and again, people would maybe argue that there's slightly fiction to these books, because this author, and he's my second favourite author behind Hunter S. Thompson. It's a guy called Ben Mesrich.
Oh, right, aye.
And he writes books, he gets stories, true stories, and he writes them, but probably does he use a bit of artistic license? Probably. He's a fucking author. Like, do you know what I mean? He's a writer. But he writes the books he doesn't just write it for the sidelines. Whoever the book's about, he goes with that person, and he lives with the guy, and do you know what I mean? The people who are the basis of the book are involved in telling the story in the book. Do you know what I mean? So it is written. It's not as if it's just it's not an investigation, if you know what I mean.
No, he's not on the outside looking in, is he?
No, it's first hand. The stories are coming from first hand. So the first one I read was, and this is the book I'm picking, is a book called Bringing Down the House, which was later republished as 21, because obviously they made the film 21, with Kevin Spacey, God, what's his name? What's the guy's name, the lead role again?
Now you're asking.
I can't fucking remember his name now. Doesn't matter anyway. But it's about a team of card counters who are at MIT in Boston. They get a card counting gang and they basically just go and fucking clean out the Vegas casinos. And it's a phenomenal story. Just to think this is real and what went on. And they went to Monaco and everything as well. But it's the lifestyle that they were just ordinary geeky sort of kids. And of course the film makes it more. They've obviously gave it the Hollywood twist because the lead actor's white, but really the guy they were all Asians. They were Asian geniuses, And the guy who the book's about, I can't remember his name either. But if you see the film 21, and there's a scene where they're at a blackjack table, and it's the other guy who's part of the gang, and they've sort of fell it. And your man comes up to the table and he says, hey man, my brother from another mother, and the dealer's Asian, and that is the actual guy. He has a cameo in the film. He's the guy that actually, he was the guy. The film is the book, and the film is about him. So he has a cameo in the film. That's the Asian dealer. That's him. But it's a fantastic book, and I've read all his books. He was the guy that done the book about you've probably seen the film, the Facebook movie. He wrote the book about that. The film wasn't great, but the book was so much better. And another one about if you wanted to read, they're fucking page turners for guys. They're the kind of books you read on fucking holiday, But it's another one called Ugly Americans, which is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So,
what I love about his books, and especially in reference to the movies, is he's so brilliant at the minutiae of the whole things.
Yeah.
Things like how do you get 10 grand in cash from Boston to Las Vegas?
Aye.
And things that have to do in airports and all that kind of thing. Which is kind of things that movies sort of gloss over a wee bit and all that kind of stuff. So, but that was. And
he went and done it. He went and done that, by the way. See, when he was doing the research for the book and all that, he went and smuggled money to Vegas to sort of put himself in the shoes when they done it for the first time. How much they were shiting themselves and all that to get a feel for it, But it was weird. But he was the first guy I ever followed on Twitter. He was the first. I'd never heard. I hadn't even heard of Twitter. I remember you
seen that before, actually.
I was on his website just looking to see if there was any new books coming, and he had a wee sort of message board on his website or whatever it was, saying that he just joined Twitter and blah blah blah. So I signed up, followed him, and he followed me back, and we used to talk back and forward quite a lot actually. And
Twitter was good.
And one of his mates was a guy called Dana something. I don't know. He's Kevin Spacey's part of Kevin Spacey's management, and he followed me for a while as well because he must have thought I was somebody because I knew Ben Mesrich. And I remember being in three-way conversations with this guy. And this guy's one of the producers of House of Cards, Dana Brunetti. So I used to sort of, I suppose I could say, know them quite well on Twitter, but they don't follow me anymore.
And your final would be your sports book. What would that be?
I kind of struggled with this because I'm not a big reader. I used to buy every Celtic book that came out, every fucking biography, autobiography. But they just became so fucking samey, and you're just reading the same stories all over and over again, and I don't know, I just came a bit. I've got probably half a shelf of them that I haven't even read yet. I just still fucking buy them, or people buy them for me for presents at Christmas and things like that, and I just put them up in the shelf. And I'll read that one day, and I never get into it. I hear somebody saying, "Oh, it was shite," and then I just think, "Oh, I'm not going to bother then," But I'm going to cheat a wee bit. I have got a Celtic one there called Happy Birthday Dear Celtic, which I absolutely loved.
I remember it,
just because it was it was about the centenary year. Do you know what I mean? So I love that season. But I suppose probably my favourite sports book is a book by Jeff Perlman.
Oh yeah.
Called The Bad Guys Won. About the 1986 New York Mets. It's so much more than a baseball book. It's so much more than a sports book. It's like Fear and Loathing in baseball, if you like. I think you've read it as well. Like,
yes, I've read it. I'm very good mates with a very good mate of his, and he gave me the book, and he was like, and he was the guy I know is a Yankee fan, and I was kind of like, what? And he goes, just forget the Yankees, just read this book. And my biggest compliment I would say is, it's not just that a Yankee fan can read that. You don't even need to be a baseball fan to read this. It's that good.
Aye. Just what goes on it, and the drugs and the women, and just.
It's like, one of the last vestiges of sport where the kind of spotlight was not on them, and they could literally, once they walked off that pitch, they could do what they liked.
Aye.
And did.
To excess.
But we're the best team in baseball, So it's it's an incredible, really incredible read.
And Jeff's actually, I had him on. I done a sort of show similar to this called Desert Island Mets, and I had Jeff Perlman on the podcast, and he's a really fucking sound guy, and he obviously has a number of sports books. I've never read. Great books. I've never read it. I'll be honest. I've never read any of the other ones. Because they're about basketball and American football. And I don't know. I don't know if they have the same appeal.
The one I would recommend would be Gunslinger. I think it's called Brett Favre, the American football player. Which, if you didn't know anything about Brett Favre, the guy is fucking lunatic, and Jeff Perlman just gets him perfectly, So,
right.
But
add that to the list.
Sorry.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, so we've got a wee bit of a segue for the book section now. Try and kind of open your mind up and cast around for this. Give me one fictional book that you would like to have lived in.
Aye. So I'll get the piss taken at me for this mercilessly. Absolutely no doubt. But when I was a wee boy, I had two obsessions: Celtic. And my other obsession was fucking the Chronicles of Narnia.
Alright.
I have read probably The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobes. I probably read it fucking 20, 30 times when I was a kid. The entire series of books, there's 7 or 8 books, the entire series. They only made 3 films, I think, but I was obsessed with The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe when I was a wee boy. And every single Sunday when I was down at my grand's, she had, if anybody doesn't know, the sort of about these young kids in wartime Britain, and they get sent to a family to live. We know how all the kids were sent out the city.
Yeah.
And they're sent to a family, and they find this sort of magic wardrobe where they go through the wardrobe, they go through the fur coats, and next thing they're in a fucking forest, trees, and it's snowing and blah, blah, blah. And they go on these fucking magical adventures. And every Sunday I would go to my grand's, and I would go, she had this big walk-in kind of cupboard that was full of fucking fur coats and the mothballs and all that, And I used to go in and I used to do it really slow, because I thought the slower I do it, the more chance of me no hitting the back of this. And I used to put my hand in and my eyes shut, and every time I'd hit the wood I'd be devastated, I was so desperate to get to fucking Narnia. So so that's if I could, that's where if I could go back to being a fucking wee boy, I'd be away to Narnia to see Aslan and all the rest of it, and the White Witch and everything, and people want to take the piss out of it, yeah. And actually, they books have got a sort of bad rap later on, because yes, there's the people. I've never read them as an adult, so I wouldn't really remember. But they say there's a lot of kind of racial undertones with the humans that are part of the book and part of the battles and all that. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I suppose people like to interpret things how they want these days. But I wouldn't be defending it either. Maybe that is the case. But as a wee boy, I was just obsessed with the books, and I was obsessed with trying to get to Narnia. So if I could lived in any book, it would have been The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
Aye, no, it's forgetting. This taken up was really beautiful, actually. I remember a very similar memories myself of that boot and era and the cupboards that your grannies and that used to have. But I have to say that what actually ruined it for me as a kid was the Young Ones parody it, where fucking Vivian ended up in Narnia and just kind of wrecked the joint. Like,
Right, I've never seen that, no.
But aye, because she asked him, she wanted to give him some sweets. He's like, "No, fuck that. You got a Turkish kebab, that's sort of shit." But no, that was put it this way. The only person I can see slaggy for that is Joe McKenna, and we all know he's not got any fucking taste whatsoever. So
he reads fucking like encyclopedias. You know what I mean? That's really exciting. That's really exciting and entertaining.
He likes googling philosophers so they can pretend that he knows what he's talking about. So if you want to just tell us about your, I'm really interested in this. So tell us about your fourth album and the song.
My fourth album was so. I got really late into. I was a big New Order fan when I was younger. No, not to the same extent with other bands, but I liked New Order, let's say. But I was really late to the table with Joy Division. I didn't really get it when I was younger. It all just seemed a bit fucking depressing, like. And it's maybe only been in the last, 10 years where, fucking hell, man, this is actually fucking genius, some of this stuff. Ian Curtis was obviously a tortured genius, took his own life just before Joy Division were about to crack America, like, no? Part of Factory, were they the first band to tap Factory Records?
Pretty much.
Something like that. I mean,
band had any success.
Put it this way, fucking New Order basically paid for Factory Records.
Aye.
So they were one of the driving forces behind that. But I think in recent years I've become a massive fan. Obviously New Order, Peter Hook was the bass player in New Order. They've had massive fallouts with him and Bernard Summer and the rest of the band. So Peter Hook's out on his own now, and he has a band called The Light, and they're just a fantastic band in their own right. And when I say in their own right, they don't play any original music. They just do Joy Division and New Order, which he has every right to play because he's writing credits on all the songs. And I suppose it was New Order's. You could argue with this as well, right? So the song I picked is Ceremony, right? Which was New Order's first ever song, but really it was Joy Division's last ever song.
Aye.
Because there are a couple of really rare recordings. Ian Curtis singing Ceremony. So Ian Curtis was never part of New Order, but it was never released as a Joy Division single. And I'm pretty sure when I say it was the first single New Order released after Ian Curtis's death, and they switched from Joy Division to New Order. So, as I say, I've seen Peter Hook now 3 times live, and the show he puts on, you're always guaranteed minimum 30 songs on the night. He does first set, which is a gig in itself. He does a first set in New Order songs, and then he goes out for a break, and you've basically seen a whole concert, like, and then he comes out and does a whole set of Joy Division, or vice versa, Joy Division first, New Order, just depends. And the songs, when you hear these songs, like, now he's not the greatest singer in the world. He's much better now than he was, say, 5 years ago. As he sort of grew into the sort of being the front man for it. His son plays in the band with him. But when Ceremony kicks in to the chorus and he's swinging that bass guitar like fucking nobody else can play a bass guitar, it's religious, man, I swear to God. It's just, the first time I was seeing them live, it absolutely fucking blew me away. And so I'm going with most of the albums that you can get are like live recordings, because as I say, he's only doing songs in New Order and Joy Division. So I'm going with, there was one for 2 years ago, I think it was the last year, I can't remember, it's Manchester anyway. I think it's live at the Apollo in Manchester, and it's Peter Hook and The Light, and the album's called Substance Live at Manchester Apollo, and the song's Ceremony, and it's just fucking, go and see them live, it'll absolutely fucking blow you away, man.
And here is the hardest working man in Salford. Alright, so we're going to wrap up a wee bit with the last section of this interview. Talk for all night, but we're talking about movies and telly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is one of the hardest questions in the whole thing. But what's your favourite movie?
It is, but it's so fucking easy because it's the one movie comes the one movie that comes first into my mind is the first. So it's so obvious that's what it is. But I mean, I have a number of films that, you know, when you're sitting, the wife's went to bed on a Saturday night and you just start flicking through the fucking Sky channels, and there's certain movies that no matter where they are in the film, if you come to it, that's it. You're watching it the rest of the fucking night. No matter if it's been on for 10 minutes or fucking an hour or an hour and a half, I'm watching it to the end, right? And there's only a handful of films that'll do that way. Jaws is one. Ocean's 12, Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 13 are another two, because I love the films. But, I mean, fucking... Casino's another one, but Goodfellas, I mean... It's the greatest film ever made, in my opinion. Because the fact that it's based on real life, it's got everything, man. It's Robert De Niro at his best. It's Joe Pesci at his best. It's got iconic scenes. It's got iconic dialogues. It's got fucking stuff that you still repeat to this day. Like, no, just there's nothing. It's perfection. There's nothing imperfect about that film. That Ray Liotta will never. Probably he's never. I mean, I suppose he's had a decent career, but he never reached those heights again.
No. And
he was quite young then, like, no. I mean, De Niro and Pesci and all that had big careers behind them at that stage, like, no. But Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas it's just a fucking masterpiece, and I'm not telling anybody any news here because I'd be shocked if there's anybody listening to this hasn't seen the film.
Aye.
I mean, Paul. What's your thoughts on Goodfellas? I mean, did you pick Goodfellas as well?
It's always been my favourite film, and then when I moved to New York, and I moved initially in Queens, I moved quite near where the film was done, and realised that 9% of the film was filmed in a 500-yard radius. And I just thought that is incredible. Like, you know, so you've talked the restaurant with the famous Joe Pesci, and the place where they done the dates with Karen for a restaurant called Salerno. The cab stand is next door to that. The post office guy gets captured at a corner, which is just 2 minutes for the cab stand. The pink Cadillac where you find the guy and his wife dead is across the street for the cab stand, underneath the Long Island Railroad. You know, and it's just like, fucking hell, man, you know. And I went to Salerno restaurant. It's actually not there now and anymore. But when you went in, there was a big picture of actually Al Pacino and the guy who owned it, and it just had Al Pacino had wrote on it, to the biggest wise guy in New York. So that was it. So the restaurant where you would go in, look at the menu, and you would just grab the menus off you and say, I tell you what, I'll cook all night, you give me $35. All right. And you just get tons of stuff. But in terms of filmmaking, I don't think it can get any better than that. I really don't.
And there's a thing that, and it's probably wrong, but there's a fucking, for the people who want to admit it and all, there's a romanticism about the mafia and the fact that they sort of had this code of honour, but they lived above the law and they controlled things, but they dressed nice, and there's just something about that kind of mafia. American mafia lifestyle is just so fucking interesting and exciting and appealing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, in real life, it was probably a much fucking different thing. But in the movies, to me, I love all that fucking gangster films. I mean, I love Robert De Niro. I was obsessed with Robert De Niro. I used to collect all his films. He's made a lot of really bad films in recent years, in the last decade probably. But, I mean, De Niro as a gangster has there ever been anybody better? Not for me.
I mean, to me, the scene where De Niro's standing at the door and the guy walks in and his wife's got a fur coat, it's just the best acting you'll ever see. Where he just looks at him and he says, what's the matter with you? I talked to you before, didn't I? And it's that airy menace. We've met guys like that in Boozers. These guys that are like a time bomb waiting to go off. You don't know when it's going to go off, but it's going to go off at some point. And he can just, how he does that, with just a look or a calm thing. And Scorsese said it as well, where he said the most menacing scene that De Niro ever done for him was when he was having a slight argument with Billy Batts after he'd had the wee thing with Tommy in the bar, and he's going, "Oh, come on, he insulted me." So he says, "Well, you insulted him a little bit." And he's, "No, come on, what's right is right, Jimmy." And he just goes, "All right, fine."
Aye.
And he said, in his eyes, you know he's dead.
Aye. Aye.
You know, that's how good it is. Like, it really is.
And I'm really looking forward to say, just as a wee side note, I'm really looking forward to The Irishman.
Oh,
I mean, I hope it doesn't disappoint, like, you know. But I can't wait to see that. Obviously, De Niro and Pesci reunited, like.
Tremendous. I mean, Pesci's been retired for years to come back, and the screenshots I've seen, and I know there's a lot of CGI with a big budget in that, but phenomenal story. You know, I know it's called The Irishman, but it's based on the book I'm sure you've read, I Heard You Paint Houses, which is Frank Sheehan's book, who was Jimmy Hoffa's bodyguard for years, and I read the book, and that is, it's one of the books where it's like, it's kind of like that Crime Time podcast you recommended to me, where the guy says, yeah, you had the government, and then you had the second government, and that's who they were, the second government. Like,
I've not read that book, like.
Oh, Charles Brandt, absolutely phenomenal.
I better get it before the film.
I'm not spoiling it, like, but it's unbelievable. But so moving on to your favourite TV show.
Wouldn't it be everybody's cup of tea? And I'm going to give my top three because I just feel like I've got to do that, but because I'd like, am I going to pick that, or that? So and the Sopranos was just, I mean, Sopranos is the Goodfellas, but in a TV series, isn't it? I mean, it's that good, like, no. And it has that sort of fucking, I mean, the characters, like, no. I mean, fucking just Goodfellas. Just, I mean, it's a shit ending. All right. They didn't know how to finish it, but just everything about Tony Soprano was fantastic. I even when I first went to do CBT to go and see a kind of sort of psychiatrist, I suppose, for my anxiety and that, I felt like that's all I could think it was Tony Soprano sitting talking to her, like, no. Just fucking great, and Steve Van Zant's character, fucking my mind, what was it? No, Polly. Sil, just fucking brilliant, man. Like, so funny and but so at the same time serious. Do you know what I mean? And the bada bang, just everything about it. I love The Sopranos, and I'm cheating a wee bit here because I'm giving you fucking three. But then it was a toss up between probably the West Wing to me is. If anybody ever watched The West Wing for a TV series that about American politics, I mean, I like all that kind of American politics things and think about dodgy deals and the FBI and the CIA and all this kind of fucking shit. I love just reading about all that kind of stuff. But The West Wing was utterly phenomenal. But for me, my favourite of the TV series was 24. I never watched it when it was first on. And it was probably in its fourth or fifth season when I picked it up, and I just devoured it. I think I was maybe not working at the time, and I think I watched all the seasons in about a month. I just loved it. I just loved 24. The character Jack Bauer, so over the top. But I've always been into that kind of fucking over the top action kind of stuff, like Die Hard and. I don't really know what I'm fucking talking about now, but I just love all that kind of Rambo, all that kind of just over the top, kind of nonsensical violence, and the fact that this whole season happened in one fucking day, like, and the things that went on was just ludicrous. But I just loved it. So 24 was my favourite ever TV series. Brilliant.
And finally on this section. Your favourite documentary? No pressure, like, just.
Documentary is really hard, man, because there's such a fucking wide range of topics, like. Do you know what I mean? Is it sport? Is it politics? Is it history? Is it things that are going on at the minute? And just some amazing stuff. Like I've watched all the recommendations for, like, say, yourself and Jason and Chris in the previous shows. But I'm going to actually pick, because this is a kind of music show, I'm going to pick Last Play at Shea, which is a documentary about, it's half about, well, it's mostly about Billy Joel, about his life, and it's also, excuse me, it was the last ever concert at Shea Stadium, where the Mets played before they tore it down. Billy Joel played the last ever gig, hence the name, Last Play at Shea. And obviously it's a play on baseball because I play as a play in baseball. But it's a phenomenal, it goes from historical stuff with Billy Joel, historical stuff about the Mets, to then keeps going to clips of the gig. And then it goes to the sort of, obviously the Beatles, that's where the Beatles played their first big fucking show in America. When they came onto the field at Shea Stadium, and it was an iconic venue that I was lucky to go to a baseball game once when I was on my honeymoon 10 years ago. Excuse me, I just had to take a drink of it. And there's a great bit in the film, in the documentary, where a guy called Pete Flynn, who was the groundskeeper, I'm sure it's Pete Flynn, I hope I've not got that name wrong. He was the groundskeeper at Shea Stadium. And so Paul McCartney appears for the sort of encore of the gig. He flies straight in. He gets a police escort for JFK to the stadium so he can get there for the last 3 or 4 songs. And when he arrives, this guy who's the groundskeeper is there with the golf cart. And he brings him on and he turns and says to Paul McCartney, he says, by the way, he says, I drove you onto the field when you came here with the Beatles. He was the same guy. He drove the car. Remember, they drove in a car, and then they got in the car and they ran. And he was the same driver, and it was a beautiful fucking moment, like, no. And it showed you him standing there at the side, fucking listening to him playing. And he actually just passed away there. It wasn't last year; it was the year before. So it's an incredible documentary. If you like Billy Joel, who I'm a big fan of Billy Joel, and I'm obviously a fan of the Mets, but it's 75% Billy Joel, 25% Mets, but it's really good documentary, really interesting. A good bit of history about New York as well. So it's anybody who likes kind of New York, maybe baseball, Billy Joel, should check that out. Last Play at Shea.
Alright, so we're coming to the end, but we've still got one question here. Now I'm intrigued by this because this is a really good question, I think, and I'm not taking any credit for that, I never wrote it, but what character from a movie or TV series would you love to be as if it was your reality?
So, I mean, I thought about this and I tried to come up with something different of what we've already spoke about. And I probably wrote the question and I didn't even think that I would come up with the kind of same answer, but I'd have loved to have just lived in the time. I'd just loved to have been in Goodfellas. So I mean, I'd love to have been. I'd probably been fucking shot dead in my 20s, but that's besides. that's besides the fucking point, like, no. Just
I don't know. You must have met a few clowns in Queens that have survived. So.
At that time, like, or even maybe casino, like, I'd have loved to have went to Vegas when it was that kind of Rat Pack era.
Yeah.
When people looked, when people went, like, I still love my fashion that now, but I love kind of getting dressed up and going out sometimes, like, just getting, but nobody else does, like, so nobody does it. Like, I'd love to. I've always said, right, see if I won the lottery, right, I'd take like 20 mates to Vegas, right, book a check us into Caesar's Palace, tell the fucking concierge, go tell Armani they're closing for 2 hours, we're coming round to get suits. And I'd give everybody a wedge of money, I'd say, we're going out, but you only go out if you're fucking suited and booted, proper, fucking looking the dapper part, that kind of, and I've always wanted to do that. That kind of era fascinates me. When people they put on a shirt and a tie and a suit, and they looked their best to go out on a Saturday night, and they went to these clubs and all that. And I'd fucking lap that up. That's a bit of me. So, as much as the question that we probably should have came up with a better answer, I just couldn't get away from being that kind of era. I'd love to have went and seen the Rat Pack in Vegas at the Sands and all the rest of it. So Aye, tough to say that kind of Goodfellas
Yeah.
time. I mean, what about you, Paul? I'll ask you that question. Maybe put you on the spot, but that wasn't a question when you were on. So
No. To be honest with you, this will make me sound mental, but I would love to be. I was actually thinking about it there when you were saying about New York with Billy Joel. I'd love to be Travis Bickle and Taxi Driver.
right.
That
Jesus.
I mean, obviously, aye. I didn't really want to go around killing people, right? But I love the fucking fact that was the deep down and dirty New York, you know, the yellow cabs and all that kind of thing. And it was, you know, you hear them saying, "Where did you go?" He said, "I'll go to Harlem and South Bronx." I mean, they were literally no-go areas for people, like, you know.
That's right.
And I love the guy when he goes and says to Peter Boyle, you can tell he's kind of fucking up, and he's like, "What should I do?" And he's like, "Why don't you just go out and get laid? You know, get drunk, have a burger." And I don't know if I'm being offensive here, but I think people like you and me can relate to that. Where it's like, I wish I fucking could, but you know, you sometimes go a wee bit fucking like that's not the answer.
Yeah.
But I just love the iconic thing, and I just love that scene where Scorsese's in the back of the fucking taxi, and he's telling him he's going to kill the boy, and all this kind of thing. And the acting of De Niro's there, but New York in the 70s has always attracted me, you know. And you know, look at Times Square then, and look at Times Square now. Fucking, it's like a theme park now.
I mean,
Whereas
it's hell on earth now, like.
Oh God, I mean, you would never. Why would you go there ever? Maybe. And I know it's like, you know, a bit seedy and all that back then and whatever, but you know, the characters of that, you must have been gone round them. Would have been fucking incredible, like, you know. But
I know. Like
okay,
that,
so
that's good.
Well, so Don Harper, it's your last song. So take us out with your last song, your last album, and what it means to you.
So this is a band who I've been into for a lot of years, but I only saw live for the first time 2 years ago, believe it or not. It's a band called Alabama 3, and I'm going to see them this Friday night in Dublin.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something now, right? I've seen them live only twice. Once in Dublin and once in Dunfermline.
Yeah.
Last year. And I mean, it's hard to put into words the experience of seeing Alabama 3 live. I've seen them described in the music press as the best live act touring in Britain for years. And that's the kind of thing you just say, well, how many bands does that get written about, like, no? They're easily the best live band I've ever seen for the show that they put on. You don't know if there's guys walking about cowboy hats, there's punks, there's just everything, and the people at the gig, total just mismatches everywhere. There's no one any some sort of genre of person, if you know what I mean. There. When the music come on, they start playing. You don't know if you're at fucking. The best way to describe it is, you don't know if you're at a fucking all night rave, or if you're at a fucking hoedown down the bayou. I mean, it's described as sweet motherfucking acid house country music. It's fucking mad. Now, obviously, a lot of people might not have heard of the band Alabama 3, but I guaranteed everybody listening to this will know one of their most famous songs, because it's the title tune to The Sopranos. Woke up this morning. So that's Alabama 3. I suppose it's the song that put them on the map worldwide. But there's so much more than that song. As I say, if you ever get the chance to go and see them, go and see them. When I was in Dunfermline, I actually sat with them for an hour and a half drinking before one of their gigs, which was fucking mental. I told the story in the Homeboys about the Rev WD Love telling me about how the band started when they were on like a fucking insane asylum and they got spoke to for God, and just fucking nonsense, like, no. But they just listen, go search them out. And what I'm going to say is, so I've picked an album called Hits and Exit Wounds, which is a kind of greatest hits up to a point in their career. But it has, if you go and listen to that, and if you listen to that album then and you enjoy it, then you'll fucking love to go and see them live. So I've picked a song called, and I changed the song 4 times a day, and I actually just changed it again at the last minute before you come on there. But I've picked a song called Too Sick to Pray. Now, I was originally going with a song called Speed of the Sound of Loneliness, but as much as it's one of my favourite songs, it doesn't really show off Larry Love's deep, growly voice that much. So, Too Sick to Pray, in brackets, Don't Call the Doctor, is the song I've picked. And I just implore anybody who's listening to this, go search out Alabama 3 on Spotify or whatever music thing you use, YouTube if you like, whatever, and just go check them out. But so my last song tonight is a song called Too Sick to Pray, Don't Call the Doctor, for the album Hits and Exit Wounds by the band Alabama 3.
Fantastic. And before we play that out, just thank Harper for his honesty and his great stories and laughter. And you will be back interviewing yourself, Harper, very soon?
Yes, I've got a few people lined up, and I hope to do another one of these next week.
Brilliant. So thanks for listening. Peace out. Take care.
And thanks for stepping into the hot seat for me, man. Cheers, mate.
No problem. A pleasure.
Thanks, man.
All good?